In this video, I'm going to show you how to record acoustic guitars that sound super wide and deep in the final mix. Let's get going. So this is an acoustic pop rock track. It's actually an acoustic version of a much bigger pop rock production, but there's just two acoustic guitars here. That's it. A very common mistake I see, particularly amongst home recordists and particularly those that are just starting out, is that they'll just put way too much into a production and focus too much on quantity rather than quality. If you record really, really great tracks that are well arranged, you don't necessarily need that many. And this is a great example of that. Just two acoustic guitars creating a massive soundscape. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So one way of getting wide acoustic guitars is to record two identical takes, usually chords, pan one hard left and the other hard right, and then call it a day. And while that can work and it is a totally legit production technique, I want to go even further, and I want to record acoustic guitars that sound like they are wider than the speakers without using stereo wideners or anything else that kind of messes with the phase. Okay, so these are the acoustic guitar tracks here. As you can see, there's one panned hard left and one panned hard right. Now, the one that's on the left is just strumming chords, really simple open string chords and a really simple strumming pattern. The right acoustic is much more carefully planned out. What I did was sit and create a part that complemented the one on the left. It's not doing the same thing, it's doing something complementary. Let's take a listen to how they sound together. I'm just going to play you the chorus where this comes alive. Those acoustic guitars sound really, really wide because they are playing distinctly different parts, but both parts complement each other well. So right from the start, that guitar on the left is just playing super simple strumming chords. And even in the verse, it's just doing some really simple palm mute stuff. Let's take a listen. Now jump to the chorus. So really, really straightforward. That guitar is what I like to call the timekeeper. It's keeping everything in check and it's going to kind of glue the whole sound together. Now, rather than just doing the same thing in the right, that's where we wanted to do something different. Just rather than just having those three chord strums, I figured out a part that would go with those chords. Let's take a listen to it. And then into the verse, it's just doing really, really light palm mute picking. Again, that just goes with that very first guitar that we listened on the left. Let's take a listen to them together. Now, the trick here is to make sure that it's not distracting, particularly when we put the vocal in, which we'll do in a moment. Those two parts are similar enough to be complementary, but different enough to make them sound really, really wide. Now let's take a listen to that right-hand guitar in the chorus. So that lead part fits really, really well with the chords on the left-hand side. And when we put them together, we get a really nice overall acoustic guitar sound. So then the second verse, second chorus are very much the same, but most songs have a bridge section or a middle eight that changes, and it's exactly the same story there. So the chords in the middle section change to this. And this is what we came up with for the right hand acoustic guitar sound. And together. So all that's left to do now, once we've written the guitar parts, we've arranged it, is give them a little bit of treatment in the mix. And honestly, there's not an awful lot to do. So that guitar that's playing chords on the left, adding a little bit of EQ. So we're adding some top, some upper mids, and then a little bit of lows as well. And then we're going into this compressor here, just gelling it together. And the right guitar that's playing the picking stuff is again getting some top and some high mids and a decent boost in the lows as well. Both of those acoustics are then going to a couple of sends, which we've got set up here. So one of them is a delay that's just lots of short, sharp bursts, which I like to blend in. And the other one is a hall reverb. So super subtle, but it's just enough to give them that little bit of depth and just extra sort of 3D-ness, if that's a word. Let's put those into the full track and let's see what we've got. So as you can hear, just 2 acoustic guitars, but it sounds big and it sounds full and it sounds super wide. And this is a really great way to achieve that sound. Have just 2 parts, 1 panned hard left, 1 panned hard right, but make them complementary, not exactly the same. Just make sure that they don't interfere with the vocal or cause a distraction in the song. Now at this point, if you are a songwriter writing your own songs, it would probably make sense for you to download my Songwriter's Checklist. Songwriting absolutely is an art, but there's certain steps and certain processes that we have to go through every single time to make sure that we don't miss the mark and to make sure that our song has the desired impact on our listeners. So despite it being an art, there is still structure, and that structure is all on this checklist. This is the exact checklist that I go through with every single one of my production clients. Before we even hit the record button, we make sure that we've got the song properly mapped out and we know exactly how we're going to arrange it so that everything fits together and it has the desired impact. This checklist is completely free. Just go to the link in the description below and you can get it straight away.